Welcome to Still Plays Galaxy of Heroes. This is the talk. This is the regular series of videos we do in between Grand Arena rounds, talking about recent developments within the Galaxy of Heroes community. First off, I want to thank all of the new subscribers. The most recent video got a lot of traffic and traction, and I really appreciate it to everyone who took the time to watch it. I've got a lot of ideas similar to that one that I've been delaying putting out because I just didn't know what kind of traction these ideas would get with this channel still being relatively small. But if this is the type of response that those types of videos will get, we can start putting those kinds of ideas out faster and faster. They take a little bit longer to make, so I think I'm going to intersperse faster to make videos like list videos with those methods videos that take a little bit longer. That's the first milestone, is 100 subs. Next one is going to be 250 subscribers. That would get me 25% of the way to the monetization threshold of 1,000 subs. I'd really like to hit that threshold. I have taken the career path in a into a career that is very vulnerable to ebbs and flows within the economy, and getting this channel monetized will really help out with weathering those ups and downs if things happen to get a lot worse than they already are now in these COVID times. So the next big topic that everyone's really talking about on Reddit and on the other YouTube channels is Grand Arena divisions, what the issue is, what kind of problems people are finding. So I definitely think we need more Grand Arena divisions. The Division 1 is way too big at this point. On top of that, I think it's time that new squads are required for defense. Definitely 2 fleets should be necessary at this point. There's plenty of capital ships, and at this point everyone is either putting down Negotiator or Malevolence, and it's just the same stuff every time, and it basically comes down to, do you have both capital ships or not? I'd like to see some more variety. Definitely at like the top end, like if you watch channels like Arnold, with whales at that level, they have way more depth than is required for the amount of teams they set on defense. It makes no sense that they're putting down the same amount of squads that I am, and I'd even like to put down another squad or two at the point that I'm at, because depending on how you construct your roster, you get to a point where everybody's just setting down the same teams, and adding a couple more teams on defense for the Division 1 people will add some variety. Now, if you are one of the people who are currently struggling in Grand Arena and is usually losing, coming in like 4th to 6th place or 5th to 8th place, changing the Grand Arena divisions, splitting them up, isn't necessarily going to fix your problem. Because when you're looking at just the top 80 GP, like, yeah, it might pull me away from you being matched up with me, but it doesn't necessarily solve the problem. Because of the algorithm, the matchup is not tied always to the division. And the algorithm is biased towards roster depth. One of the things you can be doing to quickly improve, not quickly, but to improve your Grand Arena matchmaking is to stop developing the top portion of your roster and start making a deeper roster. Like, if you have identical top 80s, but different roster depths below the top 80, the person with the deeper roster is going to win most of the time. So I would highly recommend you start moving towards, like, a lot of the characters that I've been working on are the recent new characters, which is why I don't have a lot of relics, because all of my Kairos have been going to Mon Mothma, the Resistance heroes, and to the Mandalorian characters, and that has resulted in a lot of defenses for me. So for instance, here's my latest Grand Arena that just wrapped up. This one was a big win for me. This guy had a pretty decent roster. He set a bad defense, but his offense was good. And so he didn't have any problems here on the front wall, but on the back wall, Mon Mothma tripped him up. And on here in the top wall, I mean, the Night Sisters did their work, but the First Order team took 3 attempts. And why I say work on these new characters are, one, people don't have their set counters to them, or, like this First Order team, they mess up the existing counters. Like JTR is not as successful against Hux and Sith Trooper as she is against the normal First Order team. And a lot of these new kits are very powerful at Gear 11, and they're very competitive against a lot of older kits. So by working on your roster depth, you can mess up your opponents and start finding that you're going to be a little bit more successful in Grand Arena. Plus, you'll find that the accounts that you're struggling up against in Grand Arena right now, they're going to still be working on their top 80. They're going to move past you, and other people are going to come in to replace them who might have shallower rosters, and you're going to find that you're going to be more competitive again. But I highly recommend going towards roster depth. That's what the algorithm favors. And it's one of the things, like, I'm usually 500k more than my opponents because I'm constantly working on the lower portion of my roster to make them more competitive. That's going to be changing now because of Jedi Knight Luke. I'm going to have a bunch of bloat at the top end of my roster that I'm going to need to counteract with actually good relics. So Galactic Challenges just wrapped up. There were 2 that I enjoyed. It was the Bounty Hunter one and that's what this footage here is from, and then the other one was the final one with the Separatists. But those were fun for me because they were possible to beat without any relics. And that is a lot of the fun in games like these, is trying to beat things with low requirements or under-geared and under-required things. And for me, one of the big problems with Galactic Challenges is the way it's been set up is to disincentivize things like that, which also just counteracts a lot of the potential fun of a mode like this. On top of that, even though I enjoyed the Bounty Hunters and I enjoyed the Separatist ones, one of the issues with that particular version of those events was that they weren't actually that much fun with other squads other than the ones that the mechanics were designed around. And I'd like to see the event be a little bit more useful to other squads, or to turn on and off the modifiers so that these can be tried with other factions. Because right now it doesn't work for any amount of testing. I'd also like to see, and I've been saying this in a lot of videos, is I want it to fundamentally change how these teams are used. Because like with this Bounty Hunter one or with the Separatist one, I was still using like Bosk lead here, and I was using Newt lead or Grievous lead in the Separatist one. I want to see modifiers that change how these characters use, like stop the bonus protection on Bosk, or the protection recovery on Bosk, or stop the bonus turn meter on Palpatine, so that the leaders that we typically utilize stop being as effective. Like, these modifiers have the potential to just kind of really change up how we play this game, like lean into that. Do modifiers that like take the characters that are irrelevant or low gear characters, make it so that like we can test out our Gear 7 characters up against, make them as competitive as the Relic characters, just so we can play around and see if we like any of the characters and maybe want to gear them up, so that like we have a venue so that we can try out things that our rosters aren't ready for. That would actually incentivize me to gear up things if I actually find out that, oh, there's a use for Gar Saxon. Like, I potentially theorize that Gar Saxon is going to be very good with Admiral Piet because of how Emperor's Trap becomes more powerful with assists out of turn. Lean into that. Those are the types of things that I would like to try out in this game mode, because right now I don't see the reason why we have it. I don't see where the monetization opportunity is for for CG, like that was the whole reason they said that they couldn't give us a sandbox mode, was it was going to be a little used game mode that was going to take a bunch of resources with no return on investment. I get that, but how is this accomplishing it? Like you could have just done the sandbox mode. Also, fix Galactic War and make Galactic War have fixed factions with synergies so that people can test them out there. Moving on to the datamine, I just want to echo some of the things being said on other channels. I don't want to get into this too much. Other channels are doing it much better. Arnold's been talking about General Pride being his theory for who's going to be released. Cubs has been talking about Scout Trooper. I'm more in the Cubs camp on this one. I think Scout Trooper makes a little bit more sense. Has an Empire tie-in. We've been seeing Empire characters. Mando Season 2 is coming out at the end of October, I believe, and that ties into with the login character as well. It doesn't necessarily have to, but if it is General Pride, for instance, that means we're getting multiple marquees this month, because I definitely think IG-11 is saying Mando marquee characters are coming out, and that could be IG-11, it could be Scout Trooper, it could be the Ugnaught. I think we're definitely working towards a Mandalorian legendary of some sort. I think it's worth gearing those characters up right now, especially if we see more Mandalorian marquees. One of the things that CG likes to do is ram a bunch of marquees through so that it's really hard to keep up with the farms, really hard to keep up with the gearing. And when you see a lot of these marquee characters happen one after another, I think it means we're working up to some sort of legendary. We're going to wrap up as we always do with gearing up for the next Grand Arena. Right now my focus is Jedi Knight Luke. I think I slept on this a little too long. I'm convinced that Jedi Knight Luke is coming back this month. I am 700 Carbantes away. I don't know if it's going to happen. I do have a lot of crystals saved up though. Right now I'm trying to weigh the decision of whether or not it is worth it for me to blow all of my crystals getting ready for Jedi Knight Luke. Or hopefully there's enough time where I'm able to eat through some of those Carbantes. Like I'm using all my guild currency, everything I can, to try and get Carbantes so that I can gear them up. Because what I really don't want to do is buy a bunch of Carbantes, or not buy, but use up a lot of my crystal savings for Carbantes, and then not have enough crystals left over to take them from Gear 12 to Relics. And right now that's borderline. So we're going to work on Captain Han. We're taking Wampa. Wampa I want up to Relics as soon as possible. There's some easy pieces here. This one's an easy, yeah, that's an easier one. That's the same. We'll look at that later. I'm going to do that one off the channel. We're definitely taking up Han. We need to start getting through all those carbs. Let me just double check these pieces, see where we're at. I think it's just the one Carbante, which is not a big deal. Yeah, so it's just the one Carbante. We're going to take him up to 10. And we're going to double check, see how many more Carbantes he needs to get up to Gear 11, because there might be some other things we want to work on. So it's one more Carbante to get him to Gear 11. And we're going to do it. So that's a good staging ground until we have Rollo ready. Rollo is insane with Carbantes. For being a non-tank, it is ridiculous how many Carbantes she needs. I believe she needs 9 8 or 9 to get to just gear 11. Not even looking at... No, to get to gear 12, she needs 9. You need 9 Carbantes on Rolo. Yeah, we'll put that one on. We're going to need more of those for gear 13. We're too low on Carbantes to do those, so the stun guns I'm less concerned about. I've been saving those up and I'm at a good pace on those, but it's Rolo. Taking her up more, like, I don't want to go too much lower on my Carbante inventory yet. Although Admiral Piet, since we don't need a lot of hollow lenses for the Jedi Knight Luke requirements, we're going to give these 60 to him at this level because he is good. He is worth it. We'll leave it there for now. I am going to put this Zeta here for Emperor's Trap. This is the one I like more. This is one of the, like, this ability basically doesn't do anything until there's a Zeta. So I'm putting that one on. Tough part is, these days, there aren't really bad Zetas you can skip. So with a lot of these new characters, I'm putting these Zetas on right away. Pow's somebody I've been considering, but I'm going to lay off him. Gonna wrap it up there. I'd love to take Malik up, but until I'm ready for Jedi Knight Luke, nobody else is getting relicked. Alright. Wampa can take that. We're getting low on that. I don't want to touch it yet. We're going to have to call it there. We'll just... You know what? We're going to put the finisher on him. Those are good bonuses. We know he's going to get it. Alright, we are calling it there for this week of gearing. We basically need to use everything we can to get as many Carbantes as possible so we don't have to go through my crystal savings. We're going to wrap it up there. Thanks to all of you who watched the C3PO video, and thank you to all the new subscribers. I did notice that a lot of you did make it to the end of that methods video, see the request to watch the C3PO video, and it was really appreciated and it was noticed. The reality is most of you have come to this channel because of that gas video and that playlist in general from lowest viable teams. So we're really trying to work on adding a couple more videos to that playlist so that more traffic can come here and we can grow faster. And hopefully we'll hit 250 subscribers a lot faster than it took to hit 100 subscribers. So thank you again. Be safe out there, everyone, and be excellent to each other.